It's really not that bad. Okay.
Welcome back, Michelle.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm just testing out this Alpha-Stim device,
We are
which I
talking a
feel
little bit about
something.
biofeedback, neurofeedback. So I dug out this Alpha-Stim device. That is something that we've used in the office for neurofeedback, biofeedback in the past, and we thought we'd take it out. So it has been going through. There's many different types of
It's been around for a
devices.
while. Like Alpha-Stim.
2013,
Yeah.
it got a
Okay.
big clinical trial on it. It was approved for anxiety and depression first, then insomnia, and then it got an FDA approval for chronic pain treatment.
Which makes sense why it get approval for insomnia, since insomnia at its core is an anxiety-derived,
Yeah.
cluster of symptoms.
So typically people, well, let me explain what it is. Okay. So most neurofeedback or biofeedback is going to rely on some sort of parameter that you can control, like whether it's your breathing, your temperature, and using your brain to consciously change. What devices do, like this one, it sends microvolts of electricity through your body. And this particular one, you can see it's on Dan's earlobes.
Yep, both sides.
So
I should wear this for a Halloween costume.
you could, but you could like just go find a Sony Walkman. I tell people it looks a lot like a Sony Walkman from back in the day.
Yeah, check out my Walkman.
So as little as 20 minutes can be helpful. It's approved and safe to use even up to 18 hours. So
it's counting down.
When
right
we look,
now.
it's on the 40 minutes. So now it's 37 because you've had it on for a few minutes.
Okay.
And you can adjust again the intensities just so that you can feel it. Now with the up and down arrows.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's the.
So you feel it?
Oh, I do. What is it? What am I feeling though?
Electricity.
Electricity pulsing through my earlobes.
Yeah. So it actually is pulsing between your earlobes.
Oh.
Okay. And that's why, again, with electricity and batteries, this is all, elementary school electricity circuits.
Ooh, I feel it. I turned it all the way up.
Well, so if you keep it all the way up and it's more than what you fully perceive, you can actually make yourself a little nauseous. So the thought process with a lot of these devices,
I've been drinking a lot of coffee today.
well, the thought process is that you release neurotransmitters based on stimulation. And so one of the neurotransmitters that they found on functional MRI testing is that you're actually releasing more norepinephrine and serotonin, okay?
Because of the electrical stimulation? Interesting.
So it can affect people differently at different times. And you can imagine serotonin is kind of that feel good and kind of wind down hormone.
It is. There's debate about how accurate that is. But yes, it is the more optimism.
Versus like a dopamine that's more of an alerting agent. The norepinephrine is supposed to be inhibited a little bit by some of these signals. And it does go through your whole cranium, so it's not a placebo. I mean, you can definitely feel the difference between it off and on.
I definitely felt something when I turned it all the way up. But then you said I might get nauseous, and I was like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do is like vomit during one of our podcast episodes. But I did feel it. I mean, I still kind of feel it.
Even more than that, I don't want you to vomit.
Right, that's true. Because we got to clean it up. That's messy. We've all cleaned up vomit from our kids.
Oh,
girl, the whole.
I have one that just got over something at home, so I get it. Okay. So this device, because it is an FDA approved device, it does require prescription. There are some neurofeedback type of devices like this. The one that it's called the Wallace-Fisher system. That one, apparently, it's a different model of how they decided to put it out. It is not FDA approved, so you can get that one on your own without a prescription. But when it does get an FDA approval, that's the more likely one that will be covered by medical insurance.
Sure.
This Alpha-Stim device is the one that they did the big clinical trial at Walter Reed. So in the military, this is approved for veterans.
Okay.
This particular device. And it's probably twice as expensive as the non-FDA approved ones. Yeah. Doesn't mean the other ones don't work, but when you're talking to someone who does a lot of these for their practice, they like the consistency of the devices that went through FDA approval. Now, you fast
right.
forward to
'Cause
when
they
these
can
got
be different.
approved,
They can be different devices.
but medical devices get pushed through FDA very, very quickly.
Right.
And so just be aware of it. But anything that if you wanted to try and you look up neurofeedback, or if you look up the alpha-stim.com, it's alpha-stim.com. They have some very, very nice videos and educational information on it. And there's a return policy. So if it's something that doesn't work for people, then you return it.
Okay.
But be aware, if
that.
if you're looking into a device, this one in particular, you're going to need a actual doctor's prescription for it.
Okay. All right. Well, and this can help with potentially insomnia, but also with relaxation, which is a core component of anxiety, which is also connected to insomnia. So
Yeah.
I could see, and you can't, discount the placebo effect of things too. Like expectancy has a big influence on behavior and perception. So
yeah, the biggest question I get from them is it like a TENS unit? Do you feel it like a TENS unit? And you're not feeling this like a TENS unit.
Well, I turned it down. Let me turn back up.
But it doesn't actually contract any of the muscles. It's actually electricity going through it, but it's not providing any sort of pulsations.
I mean, I felt something. Like not just in my my earlobes. I felt something like I felt a little not woozy, but wooze-like. Like
is that a technical term?
Like when you stand up too quickly?
Okay.
Like it felt a little like that sensation, not necessarily like, because that's like the change in the blood piece, but I don't know what it was, but I feel it. I definitely feel something. So, all right, well, we'll leave this on for the rest of our today, because what we're doing today, Michelle, we are wrapping up CBT-I. We have been covering this almost all of 2025, going through all 6 sessions so that all of our listeners, watchers can get better and use these skills and apply them and help change your relationship with sleep. And what we're talking about with CBT-I for this last session, it's really kind of helpful to think through what has been helpful for you, like what parts of it have worked. And Michelle, when you think about it, like what parts do you think work the most for you personally?
I think that when we talked about getting your head in a space that's ready to stop doing other things and just have that mindful, like end to one chapter being your day and then start of the other chapter that's kind of more of your night and your wind down.
Yeah.
That's the most helpful to me.
Those transition zone activities, buffer zone activities, there's lots of different names, but the moving from the active thinking, kind of solving things to the, it's time to wind down and not necessarily go to sleep yet, but begin to think about it. Those are absolutely like a key thing. I would say for me, but this is just me knowing my own kind of chronotype a little bit too. Routine is a huge one for me. Like getting up at the same time every day is a huge part of what helps me, especially when I get dysregulated and get out of a good kind of sleep cycle. So I would say just kind of think through for yourself, like what has worked well for you as you've been listening along and, kind of learning about all these things with CBT-I. And again, what we're talking about is just educational information. As always, you would need to personalize this with your own healthcare providers and those types of things, because each person's situation is unique and specific. But you definitely want to think about what these things kind of mean and how they kind of apply to you. One of the key things about this session too, with session 6, it's really thinking about, you want to stop any types of new fluctuations in your sleep from developing into another extended episode of insomnia. And what do you think that means, Michelle? Like, why do we want to stop any new bumps in the sleep road from turning into insomnia again?
Well, we talked about in another episode about those 3 Ps and the predisposing, the precipitating, and then the perpetuating. And so I think a lot of people do get stuck on that perpetuating. So if you already know that the other 2 are there, one that is just part of you, and then the other one that is like an episode that happens or some external factor that happens, you can easily go down that road.
Yeah. You really can. And that's what we want to kind of recognize, that you will have rough sleep again. Like, it doesn't mean it's going to be as bad as what you have had before, but there will be natural things that will disrupt your rest, whether it's a travel for a family trip, or maybe it's a major life transition, maybe it's retirement, maybe it's you name it. Lots of different things are likely going to disrupt your sleep again. So it's why learning all the skills that you have with the CBT-I stuff is super helpful to continue practicing kind of moving forward.
It's the difference between someone who's going to listen to this podcast just to improve their sleep or because they think we're quirky, and the people
I mean, look at
that
our studio. Like, I mean, I feel like we're inviting people into our podcast studios over here with this cozy sweatshirt too.
But this is kind of this key on some people are listening because they literally are stuck in the thick of it. They can't even see their way out.
Yeah.
And so they want to know how to get through this, but every time a scenario happens or a change in their routine happens, they keep assuming it's going to be like the worst time that was the last time, or that there's even something that's worse even still.
Right. And that's, again, why anxiety is such a huge component of this, and why you're really learning skills that you can apply to other areas of life. You're also learning to accept, that poor sleep in stride, and then you're trying to refrain from engaging in those perpetuating factors we talked about earlier, but you're trying to refrain from those very things that can disrupt your body from getting good sleep naturally. And so with that, there's a couple pieces that we're going to talk about. There's kind of 13 kind of key tips that we're going to kind of talk about and reinforce. Number 1, keeping the same rise time every day, no matter how much sleep
You're
I
good
get.
at that.
I do. I am good at that. I love smart light bulbs for this reason. This is the whole reason why I have them. I love me a sunrise at 6 a.m. or sometimes a little bit earlier, but I actually wake up before my sunrise turns on. So, but yes, so keeping the same time doesn't mean it always has to be that. Like if you're on a family trip or vacation or something like that and you sleep in or you're up really early for travel, that's fine. But in general, try to keep to that routine. Number 2, going to bed only when you're sleepy. Why is that important, Michelle?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's only we talked about this, especially with these ideas of people that you might be bored with the day, you might be physically tired from the day, you might be lots of things.
Well, when you say going to bed when you're sleepy, I also know there's going to be people listening to this podcast that are sleepy 100% of the time, because they're not sleeping well at night. So going to bed when you're sleepy, to me, is like giving people carte blanche that they can do whatever they want. So I would say is go to bed when you're sleepy, but within reason. So put some parameters, not necessarily say, oh, it's 8:00. I'm not even tired to go sleepy. So that's not what we're mean. And that's what he's trying to get at is don't just go to bed because it's 10 if you're wide awake, but also don't say, oh, it's 6:00 in the afternoon. I'm going to go to bed because I'm sleepy.
Right.
So have a set point of when you've turned stuff down and when you're like saying this is the earliest that I'm going to go to bed, but don't just get into bed because it's that time. Make sure that you're sleepy when you get that.
Absolutely. It's like that idea, you want your balloon full and your battery fully depleted. And for a lot of people, what ends up happening is you go to bed and your battery is not all the way at 0%, or you're going to bed and your sleep pressure isn't all the way full yet or you're climbing into bed. Maybe you're watching TV in bed, or you're doing something else, or you're just bored with the day. You really want to be like passing out because it's too difficult you're physically struggling to keep your eyes awake and you're exhausted, and it is past your not to go to bed before time.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I'm going to feed you number 3 so that you can talk about it. But this is the one that people really resist the most is number 3 is get out of bed when you are awake in bed. And everybody says, well, how much time should you give yourself? And how do you know? And so I make sure nobody's looking at clocks. And I would just say, pick something. Your ABCs, counting backwards from 10. I don't know, like the happy birthday song. Pick something and you decide if you can do that once or twice, then you get out of bed. But people know. People know when they're wide awake, and don't just say if this, then this, then this. It it keeps going on forever.
It sure does. And I would say too, and this goes back to what we've talked about a couple episodes back, if you start to feel frustration and or any type of tension, like that you're awake in the middle of the night, that's a good indicator just to be like, okay, let me get up. Let me leave my bed in my bedroom, go out to another room, keep the lighting, low. Don't look at a clock. Don't check your Apple Watch. Don't check your iPhone. Don't do any of those things. And do something from that tired but not sleepy basket, which we've helped people create. And we've got plenty of ideas about, if you need activities for those. Those are on, gosh, I don't know. We should probably reference those episodes. They're on there. They're somewhere where we've talked about tons of tired but not sleepy activities. But go do those things because that is super, super key from a behavioral conditioning perspective. So, how about this next one, Michelle? This buffer zone activity. Like, I know we talked about this earlier. Like, we need time for our brains to disconnect.
So a lot of people are a little bit disaligned with when they want to go to bed and when they have to wake up. So if you're one of these people that says that creates a lot of anxiety because I don't know how I'll feel the next day, an hour or so before you'd like to go to bed, that's when you want to have this buffer zone where you don't do meaningful activity. And this means different things for different people. So meaningful activity is stuff that you get paid for, or stuff that is a habit that you have to do around, like doing your laundry or cleaning your room. But there are some activities that generally fall into the category of repetitive and are done just for the sake of doing them. So journaling, folding a towel, unfolding the towel, folding the towel, doing some light kind of massage to yourself or somebody else, petting an animal.
Absolutely. All sorts of things like that. Again, and the caveat is things that are to you not very activating. Like, you don't want things that keep you alert and awake. You want things that
like calling a friend might be too activating because
right.
that's new information that could be processed.
Exactly. In fact, that's something you want to do in the morning when you're having a tough time getting out of bed and starting your day. Schedule things like phone a friend or go to a class, like a workout class, or go get your cup of coffee somewhere. Like, schedule things that get you out of bed. So, okay. Michelle, how about this next one here? Number 5.
Number 5 is get out of bed if you're worrying and you can't shut your brain off. So this is kind of another duplicate of if it's your brain that's on, or again, if it's your body that's on, make sure that you don't just stay in that spot. Change your surroundings.
Yep, absolutely. Next one here, number 6, engaging in worrying or problem solving earlier in the evening. This is, again, making time if you're someone who might be worrying about different things or things are coming to you in the middle of the night, and making that time to do that constructive worry or that scheduled worry that we've talked about earlier, or even journaling, or making sure that you have that, notepad with a pencil by the side of your bed so you can jot down that amazing, money-making idea that comes to you at 4 o'clock in the morning and yet you want to get good rest. Jot it down and then go back to sleep. So. All right. How about number 6 here? Or no, we did number 6. Number 7 here. Limiting the amount of time in bed at night. Why is this one important, Michelle?
Well, human adults tend not to get more than 8 hours of sleep. So if you anticipate that you have sleep issues, the gut instinct is, well, if I'm not getting enough hours of sleep, then maybe I want to make sure that everything adds up to be enough hours. So you give yourself all this extra time and then you get the same exact amount of sleep as you would if you had less in there. So you want to restrict your time in bed to just time that you're sleeping and not create this bedroom of worry and of insomnia and of really bad habits in bed. I love, I don't remember the year, but the eating in bed, the watching TV in bed, the laptop in bed.
Not good.
No, it's not good.
Not good from a sleep perspective. So, which is what our next one here, number 8, and making sure that you only use the bed for sleep and sex. Like, that really should be the only kind of association for that in terms of that. And we talked about that from that behavioral conditioning perspective. So, okay.
Number 9 is don't nap.
What? I can't nap anymore.
So there are some exceptions, from a safety perspective. If you are falling asleep driving, You really want to make sure that you're not ever in a position where you're so sleepy that you're doing an activity that
Right.
would cause you to injure yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The other exception is as people age, using your day to have a short period of a nap, not around the time that you're going to be planned to go to sleep. That could be very normal. Young children under age of 5, it's also very normal to have a second sleep period
Mm-hmm.
in the day. But when you're finding that you're napping as a replacement for your sleep at night, or you're getting through full sleep cycles, which are generally about an hour and a half, would be preferred not to.
Yep. Agreed. Absolutely. Number 10 here, not canceling activities after a night of poor sleep. Ooh,
So
this
it's
is a
not
big
always the
one.
the day after that you have a bad night of sleep
Mm-hmm.
that you do the worst. It's a few days after that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will just anticipate not being functional. And so they'll start canceling plans.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to get depressed is if you stop doing things.
Yeah. You want to still engage in attending things and doing things, however you need to do that. So, number 11 here, not trying to have caffeine or alcohol or smoke cigarettes or engage in exercise within a few hours of bedtime. Again, these are all things that can have alerting, effects to them. So you want to try your best to reduce the impact of those when you're trying to wind down your day.
Yeah.
And then the last one here is anything else that, has kind of been impacting you. And this is where I would say it's really important to acknowledge that, number one, poor sleep is going to happen again. We know that there's going to be a period of roughness kind of happening. What else do we want to make sure that we remember, Michelle?
That everybody has this problem.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that it means there's something wrong with you, or it doesn't mean that something is going to continue to be an ongoing issue, but
Right. Yep.
it does mean that it's a very normal part of being human.
Yep. And even if you have a few bad rest nights in a row, that also doesn't mean that you're going to repeat the pattern and it's going to get back worse. Like, I think this is one of the things that, like, now that you've kind of learned a lot of this stuff, you're really trying to interrupt that kind of downward spiral, which tells you that, oh my gosh, this is going to get so much worse. Actually, if you do these things, you should be getting better sleep, but it takes time.
Yeah, if you think about food, let's say in the day, if you miss breakfast, it doesn't ruin your day. If you have breakfast but actually end up missing lunch, that's also okay.
Mm-hmm.
So with sleep, one of the things is if you are focusing on what you didn't do right, and then that's going to trigger the next thing and the next thing. Catch yourself doing it so that you can stop jumping to that conclusion, to perpetuate maybe a idea that you formalized in your head that may be a little bit erroneous.
Yep. You got it. All right, Michelle, we've wrapped up all 6.
And you haven't fallen asleep on me, even with the Alpha-Stim in place.
I do feel a little like it's a little, but no, I was going to say maybe my caffeine's wearing off, but it's a little
I think maybe Reagan has to drive home.
Yeah, not yet, girl. Oof, my gosh. Like, yeah. No, I'll wake up for that. No. But no, I do feel it is kind of it is, I do feel a little bit more drowsy with it. I mean, I also have been having quite a bit of caffeine today, but I feel something.
We are not recording right before sleep, so we're good.
All right, Sleep Nation. Until next time, looking forward to seeing you then.
All right, bye.
Bye.